Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Yeah.
What is up, Geek Corner? This is your boy Earth Mac, the mad scientist, and this is the Orange Phoenix Show, Pro Wrestling Talk Live on this Wednesday night, the hour before AEW Dynamite. I want you guys to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell, man, because listen, shout out to the now 301 subscribers, man. Listen, we greatly appreciate the support. Go ahead and share this video. Share the past videos that we have. Now, I will tell you this. We do have a Discord. The link is in the description below. We have several channels for several interests in geekdom. And thank you for supporting the channel as we continue to grow. We are on the quest to get 500 subscribers. And then after that, we are in a quest to get 1,000 subscribers. Shout out to my co-hosts, Boogie Blends, Vivo the Vibe, and Alvin the Infamous in his absence tonight. But you got me tonight as I talk about some of what's going on with AEW Dynamite and AEW All Out. Because right at this moment, we don't know what is to happen with AEW Dynamite because of the way AEW All Out ended. Now, if you are a fan of Meek Mill, you know the song Dreams and Nightmares. See, All In was all about the dream. It was all about the pageantry. It was the biggest show for AEW. It is the biggest show in AEW, basically. But AEW All Out is all about nightmares. AEW All Out is all about a new chapter being written in the book of AEW. And man, what a chapter it is. But we're going to be right here. We're going to talk about it because it's three significant things that happen at AEW All Out. Now, let's start with the first one. This right here. Adam Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the biggest feud in all of AEW. Like, this has been a roller coaster of a feud between these two. When I think of these two, I think about Rock and Austin. I think about Rock and Triple H. I think about that short feud between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. That blood feud. That's what I think about when I see these two individuals. And they was in a steel cage match. And it was the main event. And rightfully so, considering the stuff that was happening in this main event. We talking your fronts being pulled out. Staplers. Syringes. I never seen a syringe ever in a wrestling match. This match was brutal. It delivered on every sense of the word. Now, I will say, that some people was a little disgusted, as far as what's going on in that steel cage match. But you know what? I'm not as disgusted by it because, I grew up in the 80s. I've seen some brutal cage matches. I've seen some I Quit matches, especially between Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard. This is also a feud that it reminds me of, to the point where Magnum TA took pieces of a wooden chair, which looks like a spike, and drug it inside of Tully Blanchard's head, like just stuck it right there. And I was like, yo, what is happening? And he made him say, I quit. Like that, the type of blood feud that this was. Now, you always hear the critique, right? That AEW doesn't tell any stories. But I think the thing is with AEW and the critique of telling stories is that they're trying to put AEW in a box. Those individuals are trying to put them in the same vein as the WWE. But what brought AEW to the dance in the first place is the fact that they are the alternative. They have a different means of telling the story. It's not something that you are usually accustomed to because, let's face it, when WWE been around for 30, 40 plus years. And for a nice little gap of that time, they had no competition. So for people that grew up with the WWE when there was no direct competition, that's all they know is WWE or the way they tell stories. But there was at one point in time, a Hell in a Cell match was just that. It was no other weapons in there. It was a bloody type of match. And then, of course, the narrative changed. And when you do have a Hell in a Cell match, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to bleed. Like, you're not going to get busted open. That's not going to happen. But when we think of steel cage matches, and this is for like the new age wrestling fans. Whenever there's a steel cage match, it's almost a guarantee that there need to be blood. Because for you to be in a cage match, you got to really hate that person. Like, you got to really say, listen, I don't want nobody else, no outside people. You locked in with me. We're going to finish this. That's how it needs to be done. This is what it is with Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. Like, look back at the start of their feud. They started with Wrestle Dream, where Swerve Strickland was the heel at this point, and Swerve Strickland gets the dub. Then you go to a second time around where this blood feud escalates even further, where Swerve Strickland actually is inside of Hangman Adam Page's home and talking to his kid. Like, we taking this thing to a whole nother level. And then they face each other in a Texas death match. And it was like, yo, can we get any hardcore than this? Because we're talking about staples and drinking blood. And again, Swerve Strickland gets the dub. And to the point where you see tiny little pieces of Hangman Page getting chipped away by Swerve. But something unique happens with Swerve. The thing that happened with Swerve is the crowd gets with Swerve. Swerve has swag. Swerve eventually becomes the world heavyweight champion, which is something that Adam Page says it's the last thing I do. You will never be the world heavyweight champion, right? So with his quest of failing that Swerve Strickland is the world heavyweight champion, now he has a new alternative. His quest is for him to lose the world heavyweight championship, and also for him not to ever win it again because of what he did. Like, that house visit that Swerve did drove Hangman Page to the brink of insanity, to now he is a man possessed over Swerve, and people love Swerve, and that drove Hangman Page further into the deep end. But keep in mind, Hangman Page is 0-2 at this point against Swerve Strickland. Like, he never beat Swerve Strickland one-on-one. Then you fast forward to the cage match. But the week before the cage match, you get it back in blood. Swerve Strickland just bought his childhood home again. something for his family, his kids, his grandkids can grow up in, only for Hangman Page to burn that bitch to the ground, to burn it to the ground, and him drinking alcohol as this house was burning down. So an eye for an eye. And you know how, us WWE, not WWE fans, us wrestling fans are, we tend to forget those things because Swerve Strickland is the baby face somewhat. So how could you do this to his childhood home? This man has changed. This man has done all these things to better himself. But Hangman Page is the man most affected by this. So then you get to the cage match. This cage match was a traditional cage match. It's a cage match what it's supposed to be. I'm fine with not having any other weapons in that cage match. Like, I am completely cool with that. But the level of hatred that these two individuals have for each other, it was shown in full splendor, which implies that this is the greatest feud in AEW history at this point in time. So what's next for Hangman Page? Because he conquered the demon in Swerve Strickland. He beat Swerve Strickland. Even though he crossed the line, he put a syringe in the man's mouth, and he was about to go back and finish the job, but you know what? He wasn't going to do that. So what's next for Hangman Adam Page? I got a theory. My theory is this. My theory is Swerve and Hangman should not cross paths at no other point until Hangman Page wins the World Heavyweight Championship. That is the next time that they face each other. Now, you can't go further than a cage match. So what do you do in this situation? Like, do you do a last man standing match, or do you do a regular old traditional match? Because it boils down to the point that you can't beat me without the help of Prince Nana. So how about I beat you at your own game? How about I beat you one-on-one with the World Heavyweight Championship? That's the only way this thing can actually go further. Because, I mean, if you think about the great feuds in pro wrestling, like Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, Triple H and The Rock, Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Like, they faced each other many, many times for the Intercontinental Championship and for the World Heavyweight Championship. But you never got tired of their matches. It wasn't like the same type of matches between the two. There's always was some type of underlying story that kept us vested, that kept us interested. Stone Cold, Rock could never beat Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, except for that, the last one that they faced each other at. And there was one point where The Rock was the bad guy. There was one point where Austin was the bad guy, even though we questioned that choice of him being a heel. But still yet, that was something different. That was a different wrinkle in that storyline. So you have layers to this story where you could have something so menacing, so nefarious, so diabolical that it forces Swerve and Hangman to coincide with each other and force them to work together to do things for the greater good. That's another avenue you can take with Swerve and Hangman, which means you can extend the story even further. But when Swerve comes back, because at this point he is taking time off, don't have him cross paths with Hangman. Like, cool that off for a minute. Like, just have him wrestle other people, because you got Keith Lee hanging out there whenever he's fully healthy. That's a feud that never truly finished. So you got that. You got other feuds Swerve can be involved in. You got other feuds that Hangman Adam Page can get himself involved with. I mean, there's a little wrinkle between him and Okada. So you got that going for you. So when Swerve comes back, do not have him cross paths with Hangman Page. That is my advice with that, and this is as a fan, because there's two ways you can go about it. You can have something that attacks AEW as a company that force those two to unite, or you have Hangman Page be the World Heavyweight Champion, and then have Swerve versus Hangman for the World Heavyweight Championship, and you go from there. But you created a staple. That is for sure. You definitely created a staple in this. Now, the other thing that happened in AEW All Out, is Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, Marina Shafir, and Wheeler Yuta. So, obviously we know that Jack Perry wasn't going to beat Bryan Danielson for the World Heavyweight Championship. We know that. We know that. We are fully aware of that. But what happened afterwards made you stand up just a little bit, because Christian comes out and he was willing to cash in, like, listen, my time is now. I'm going to face Bryan Danielson for this World Heavyweight Championship. I don't care if he just beat Jack Perry. All of a sudden, the BCC comes out and they save the day. And you thinking everything cool. You thinking everything chill. Then all of a sudden, you see Claudio European uppercuts Bryan Danielson. And at this point, you see the shock and all on Bryan Danielson's face. Now, here's an underlying thing here. The one thing that sold this segment for me is Wheeler Yuta. Like, Wheeler Yuta showed the most emotion I have ever seen at any point in his career in AEW. This man was hurting. This man was in tears watching someone that he highly respected get beat down, pretty much damn near get choked to death on national television. Again, never seen a plastic bag over someone's face, choking them out, suffocating them. Never seen that. But Wheeler Yuta's face, looking at Daniel Bryan, like breath leave his body, and him coming unconscious, like that right there sold the whole segment, sold the whole deal, because it was a somber situation, and Pac holding him back. So there's various stories that can come out of this. Like, what is the BCC goal? Because in my first thought process of this was, when Jon Moxley told Tony Schiavone, this is not your company anymore, I'm thinking he's bringing back some people we haven't seen in a long time. We talking about Miro, maybe Ricky Starks. I know the rumors. Don't believe it until it actually happens. And some people we haven't seen. But you go to the BCC, because if you remember what the BCC used to be, like, the BCC was this ruthless group. There was this hardcore, hard-hitting group of guys that took no prisoners. But Bryan Danielson being part of this group. Now, you know, Bryan Danielson have an edge to him and so on and so forth, but he got a little bit nicer in the ring. And that probably pissed Claudio off. That probably pissed Jon Moxley off. You got to get back to what the real is. But they brought Wheeler Yuta under their wing to the point where they trained Wheeler Yuta to be this badass, like this other person besides the person he came out to be in the beginning. What happens with Wheeler Yuta? Because he's part of the Trios champions, right? So you got Pac, you got Claudio, you got Wheeler Yuta as the Trios champions. What would happen to Wheeler Yuta? Because he's conflicted at this point. Like, they just attacked his hero. They just attacked Bryan Danielson, a person that was part of the BCC. I'm sorry. What's going to happen? We don't know. But I got a theory. My theory is that Darby Allin will replace Wheeler Yuta. I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. I think Darby Allin will turn to be a heel. I'm seeing inklings of that. And what's the best way for Darby Allin to be a heel? Turn on Sting, the person he respects the most. Like to do something with Sting, like to do like a segment with Sting where he turns completely heel, like he's get completely hated, and he turns on Wheeler Yuta, and then he replaces Wheeler Yuta as being part of the BCC and being part of the Trio Champions. That could happen. That could happen. But also, this highlights Wheeler Yuta. There's two themes at AEW All Out, and one theme is enhancing younger talent. That was one theme. The other theme was murder is okay in the state of pro wrestling, apparently, because there was a lot of attempted murder going on. But if you look at the young talent that was showcased in AEW All Out, you saw Jack Perry in the ring with arguably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, technical wrestlers of all time, in Bryan Danielson. And he showed off. He stepped up to the plate and he delivered. Yes, he came out with a loss. It don't matter. It's the fact that you showed off your skills. Like, you are being taken seriously. The other highlight, though, is Wheeler Yuta. Because what would happen with Wheeler Yuta? Like, Wheeler Yuta has an opportunity to be one of the top baby faces in the company, considering how this transpired, because he's caught between a rock and a hard place. You might get betrayed by the BCC. You might be the man that actually beats John Moxley one-on-one. You might be that guy. Who knows? Again, that's enhancing younger talent. I'm noticing, and then, of course, Daniel Garcia, MJF. I mean, at this point, you might say MJF is a veteran at this point, and Daniel Garcia is not as much as a veteran as MJF is. But Daniel Garcia was highlighted in the first match. This highlights him. Even though MJF is taking time off, Swerve Strickland's taking time off, now people are stepping up to the plate. Even though Daniel Garcia lost the match, he did what he said he was going to do. So that's another talent that's being elevated at this point. So you got Daniel Garcia being elevated. You got Wheeler Yuta at this point being elevated. You got Jack Perry being elevated because somebody's going to face him for the TNT Championship. Also, Konosuke Takeshita is being highlighted. Like, did you hear the crowd between him and Okada? Like, that's a dream match waiting to happen, right? And you already know the Continental Classic is coming up. It's coming up very, very soon, which means Okada is in that. And there's a lot of favorites of people who will beat Okada, who I think should beat Okada. Maybe Daniel Garcia. Maybe Konosuke Takeshita. Those are the two individuals that I want to face Okada and beat Okada. Out of those two, like, these guys deserve that route. And I'm gonna go towards the women. Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. We got to get into it. So again, this is another blood feud here. But if this is going to be a hardcore match, if this is going to be like a Chicago street fight or whatever the case, you have to have tools. You have to have weapons. You have to have blood. And that's what these women delivered. Like, you can't just cookie cutter this. Like, you can't just fly by night this and use like trash can lids or whatever, and nobody gets cut. Nobody gets busted open. Like Chris Statlander portrayed Willow Nightingale. And listen, whenever Willow braids her hair up, oh, it's about to go down, son. We talking like some hardcore stuff happening. We got light bulb tubes. I'm sorry. We had a chain being used. And honestly and truly, outside of Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland, this was the match of the night for me. Like, these women delivered, absolutely delivered a banger. And I'm going to tell you right now, this women's division at AEW has been just elevating themselves up and up and up and up and up and up. And if you are one of the day one women of AEW, and this is not me like separating the locker room or anything like that. Look at these women stepping up. If you not stepping up, like, I don't think you're gonna get no TV time like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anna Jay just traveled overseas to Japan. Like, she's doing her third thizzle over there. And I feel like she's gonna come back like even stronger than she already has. Like, you know, you look at these women and what they're able to do and how elevated they are. It's like a night and day difference. There are doing what they do, and they're creating stars within their own division. Yeah, you got Mercedes Moné in the picture, and that's okay. And that's okay. I mean, she's elevating the championship. She's elevating the TBS championship. She's doing like promotions and stuff like that. Like her match with Hikaru Shida was to me a better match than, All In against Britt Baker. I mean, it was. So you put in Mariah May and her upcoming feud possibly with Sky Blue or somebody else. We don't know. But as far as this women's division is concerned, they are doing their thing. And if you are missing out, if you miss any of their matches. So a few key points here. The young talent is being elevated. The women's division is being elevated. Keep your eye on Konosuke Takeshita. Keep your eye on Jack Perry. Keep your eye on Daniel Garcia. Swerve Strickland, MJF, allegedly, per news reports, is taking time off. So that means someone else is getting to that spot. Keep your eye also on Wheeler Yuta in the BCC. Or Darby Allin. There's a lot of things at play here. This is AEW Dynamite. The other unique thing about the post-media scrum of AEW All Out is that no talent was there. It was only Tony Khan. It's like, yo, after the events, everybody's like mentally exhausted. So that played into what happened at All Out because it was a lot. All Out was a lot. Like All Out was not just a title. They did went all out. Like they did exactly that. So for no performer go to the post media scrum and answer questions, that might mean something there. It might be another attempt like as a hostile takeover. And I mean, obviously the hostile takeover can easily be the BCC because they're more menacing. They don't have that brightness as far as charisma is concerned. They have charisma, but they don't have like flair or colorfulness. It's just, I'm gonna come into the ring, I'm gonna beat your ass. Oh, by the way, we got Marina Shafir, but she also can break your arms and your neck and your legs and everything else in between. So don't get it twisted. So the women's division, you better put on notice here. Who else is willing to join the BCC? Is it just going to be Darby Allin, which is my theory, by the way? Is Miro going to show back up? Ooh, Miro might show back up. Hangman Page is still there. He won his match and got a children's book out. Who knew? But only time will tell. Now, I will say Bad Blood is coming up. And you do have a match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Listen, if you got Bad Blood and there's a Hell in a Cell match, you better have blood. You know what I'm saying? You better have blood. Like, if you don't have no blood here in this Hell in a Cell match, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This hatred between Punk and Drew McIntyre is a blood feud. And I feel like it has to do. I don't think it's going to. Obviously, we got shareholders because WWE is a publicly traded company. We do know that. We are aware of that. It won't be to the level of violence that Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page has, but at least let there be some blood here. Like, let people know, like, this is, oh my gosh, this is for real type of situation. And a lot of people like to compare AEW and WWE as far as how they go about doing things. Like I said earlier, WWE is a publicly traded company. AEW is a privately owned company. Madeline, what's going on, Madeline? What is happening? Oh, yes. I do got a nice collection, man. Look, it took some time. It took some time. I'm not even gonna hold you, Madeline. It took some time. Like we talking. How many conventions have I been to? I've been to several conventions. If I see something cool, if it's reasonably priced now, if it's reasonably priced, I will get it. Like this Batmobile I got behind me, this 89 Batmobile, it's something that you have to like glue and put together, but I don't want to take it out of the box. Probably because I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to like miss any parts or anything like that. But I digress. So you doing good so far? Living life, can't complain. Also. Now, this also is the Twitch channel, and she's actually commented on our Twitch channel. Now, I just started with the Twitch, and I am gaming, so I will put some gaming in there. I'm playing some Warhammer 40K, some Space Marine 2. I cannot wait for Marvel vs. Capcom Fight Collection to come out. I'm geeked about that. You understand? I am geeked. Super geeked about that. I don't think you I don't think you understand, man. Marvel vs. Capcom Fight Collection, I cannot wait. But Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, that game might be game of the year. Outside of Astrobot. Because Astrobot, I look at the gameplay. You're talking like 80 levels. And I was like, yo, I really want Astrobot. I really do want that. It's been a while since there's been like a really, really good like platformer that everybody's talking about on PlayStation. So Astrobot, it just so happened to be that game. And a lot of people saying that it might be the new mascot for PlayStation. And I'm not opposed to that because I feel like you need to upgrade. Because Crash Bandicoot, I can play that on other consoles now. And Astrobot needs to be part of an exclusive deal. But shout out to Madeline. Shout out to you. But go ahead and check out some AEW Dynamite tonight. Check that out now, because I know you are a pro wrestling fan, and again, there are differences because AEW is a privately owned company. Oh, your ass is Wukong. Man, listen, I want to play Wukong. I want to play Wukong. I just need to find the time. I really need to find the time. It's like I got a backlog. I got a backlog. So for a minute, I thought the situation was bleak, right? I thought when Concord lasted for only 14 days, which Concord was not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I just feel like Concord was bad marketing for one. Like you spent over $200 million and released this game in between this plethora of great games that's out, and you charge $40 for a genre that other genre, like the same genre, was charging for free. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. That's a major L. And I'm so glad I didn't buy Concord. Ooh, I would have been pissed. But Black Myth Wukong is definitely on my top priority list. Then Space Marine 2 came out, and then I bought that like on Steam, and I instantly fell in love with it. I even bought a book. Like I bought Eisenhorn Omnibus. So I'm gonna read a little bit on that because I want to get into the Warhammer lore, and I know there's a lot. I heard there's like 600 plus pages of 600 plus books of Warhammer lore. I'm not gonna read 600 books. I'm not gonna do that, but I am asking for like suggestions on books to read as far as Warhammer is concerned. Now, Marvel vs. Capcom Fight Collection. I will say that is something that people in the fighting game community was asking for 20 years. Like, we were begging, pleading, please give us a Marvel vs. Capcom goodness. And we finally got it, and it's online gameplay, and it releases tonight, actually. It won't be midnight. I'll say about, midnight. Yeah, it's at midnight. It's going to be available at midnight. So, and I got to do grown-up things. So I don't even know I'm going to play it tonight or not. I got to be an adult. That's the thing that sucks, man. Like, you got all this good stuff coming out, and you got to be an adult. That sucks. So, but yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom Fight Collection. And I really want to play Astrobot. That's the next thing on the list. And then I want to play Black Myth Wukong. And I'm going to get that for my PS5. So I have a list. I do have a backlog of things that I want to play, But Space Marine 2 definitely has my attention right now. And when Marvel vs. Capcom comes out, that's gonna split that decision. So hey, listen. Oh, wait. What you said? How have you tried Mortal Kombat and Tekken? Oh, yes. Come on now. Come on. Yes. I am always down. So the big three, right? Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter 6. So the top games out of those are Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6. I feel like Mortal Kombat kind of fell by the wayside. Like, I played the campaign, beat the campaign, and I lost interest after that. And that's really sucks, because I feel like Mortal Kombat should go back. If Midway still exists, I feel like Mortal Kombat should go back to Midway, because I feel like that's where peak Mortal Kombat was at. But I feel like it fell by the wayside comparatively, because I look at the concurrent player count on Steam, like how many people play Mortal Kombat, how many people play Street Fighter and Tekken 8, and the majority of people are playing either Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8. And I got Mortal Kombat, don't get me wrong, I have it, but it's not one of those situations where I run outside, I run inside, I can't wait to play Mortal Kombat today. You know, so Tekken 8. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, we might need to link up. I will say though, you can guess from my icon. Yeah, we might need a link for some Tekken 8. I'm always down for that. Who do you play with? I think who's the person I would typically play with? I got Jen. Jen is a good one. Martial Law. There was a DLC. Oh, your main is Jen? Okay, your main is Jen. Okay, I feel you. So Jen, there's a new character, Lydia. I think it's Lydia. I think she's like Polish. She knows karate and stuff like that. So I'm gonna play with her. I do play with King a little bit too. Like, King is elite. I really do love King. Like, King will hit you with them holds, but you got to time those things right? So now, as far as like fighting games is concerned, I feel like there should be some fighting games that should come back, like Bloody Roar, right? Bloody Roar should come back. I feel like Soul Calibur should be back at the forefront. I know about Soul Calibur 6, but I don't think Soul Calibur is getting that much love nowadays, and I feel like it needs to get that love. And I feel like Soul Calibur, if there is a Soul Calibur 7 coming out, like I feel like the marketing needs to be top tier. But Bloody Roar, that's one of the games I really want to come back. Virtua Fighter. I'm hearing rumors that Virtua Fighter is coming back. He said the only reason I play with Jen is because he's my because you. Hey man, people be crushing on Jen, man. Hey, the ladies be crushing on Jen. And so, like with Virtua Fighter, I think in some cases, I feel like Virtua Fighter is the better fighter because of the mechanics. And on the surface, it seems simplistic because you got punch, kick, throw, and it's like a paper, rock, scissors type of deal, right? But it's more complicated than that, because if one wrong move and it's a wrap, you got ring outs, you got to pay attention to your surroundings, dead or alive. Let me tell you, okay, I gotta tell you so. So when I had my PlayStation 1, right, Tekken 2 was my jam. I love Tekken 2. I don't know, I think it was the background music I always used to play. If I ever stream like Tekken 8, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna hear like Tekken 2 soundtrack. That's what you're gonna hear. But Tekken 2 was my jam. Then I got a Sega Dreamcast, right? And when I got the Sega Dreamcast, I played Dead or Alive. And I was floored. I was like flabbergasted. I was like, you can knock people through walls. You knock people out of buildings. Like, it felt like an actual fight. Like, there was no limitations on where you was going. It's like you fought all around the area and you can reverse moves. Like like if somebody punch you, you can actually grab them and reverse it. And I was like, yo, like this is dope. So for a hot minute, I stayed on Dead or Alive for a number of years. Like the last Tekken game I picked up was Tekken 3, right? Then for a gap, I skipped Tekken Tag Tournament. I skipped Tekken 4. I skipped Tekken 5. I skipped Tekken 6. And 7 is when I got back on Tekken. Because Dead or Alive, as far as popularity is concerned, it started to dwindle a little bit. And Tekken 7 was what got me back into Tekken and going back into Tekken 8. But that's another game though. Dead or Alive, I really do want that to come back. I want them to rework that because, you know, I mean, let's face it, like Dead or Alive, in some cases was sexualized, and it became a niche thing because I feel like in some ways it lost its identity as a fighter because it is a fighting game, but you had these weirdos that was like playing Dead or Alive for different reasons. You know what I mean? So I feel like they should go back to the drawing board and bring back Dead or Alive in a different capacity, and it can be a direct deal. You can guess from my eyes. Oh, you guessed from my eyes. Oh, I'm telling on myself. But man, I'm glad you guys are able to check us out, man. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button and a notification bell. And we will be back like tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, myself and Vivo the Vibe, because we got a lot of things to talk about. We got to talk about that PlayStation 5 Pro. Like, why the hell is it $700? We're going to talk about potential games of the year, or what we think games of the year are, and more. So 7 p.m. Eastern time. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And yes, I will be streaming over the course of the weekend, Space Marine 2, and you know, and some other games too. So, thank you guys for hanging out. Oh, and yeah, add to yourself also from designer. So, yeah. I do a set order offer from designers. Yeah, hit me up. Hit me up. So until next time, y'all. Peace. Y'all have a good night. AEW Dynamite, 8 p.m. Eastern time on TBS. Go check it out.